I think is the dirty little secret of the top 10 cryptos that I have never heard anyone talk about or discuss in my 3 years in the space. But it's something that crosses my mind all the time, and I wanted to discuss it with you guys. But let's talk a little bit about the market and a couple of news items, and then we're going to jump right into it. So, looking at Bitcoin, it's at 95.78, and I'm using CoinMarketCap today for a good reason, and you'll know in just a minute. Ethereum is at 200 even, and XRP is just above 20 cents. So, and the total market cap is at 261. So things are what they are. I mean, Bitcoin's in the battle for 10,000, and I think 10,500 is a critical point. So until it reaches that, the market's not going to get a lot of the attention it probably should be getting now. All right, so this was from MacAttack at MacAttackXRP on Twitter, and you should follow MacAttack. And it says Visa files a patent to create a blockchain-based digital fiat currency system. Okay, so Visa's filed a patent. Look, a lot of people have filed patents with blockchain, and this, I think Visa was involved with Facebook, and then they pulled out. And what Visa looks to be doing is something similar to that. But once it opens up, I wanted to go over a couple of points of what I see about it. It says Visa files a patent to create a blockchain-based digital fiat currency system. Let's move on. Thanks to that. Okay, the credit card giant Visa has filed a blockchain patent to develop a digital currency. The application and acquisition of the patents are how giant companies truly show their fascination in a particular field. In this case, Visa has demonstrated its interest in developing a digital currency. According to documents, the credit card company seeks to create a system that can create a digital currency of any fiat currency, including the US dollar, the euro, the yen, and virtually any other physical currency. Okay, so here's where I think it's a bit of a challenge, right? So creating a digital dollar or a digital fiat currency in relation to the dollar, I mean, it says right here, can create a digital currency of any fiat currency. Well, I got news for you. These countries are going to create their own fiat currency, digital currencies, and they don't need Visa to do it. And I think this is another example, a lot like what Facebook did with Libra, of something that governments will find threatening. And one thing we've learned in the crypto space is if it threatens governments, it's probably not going anywhere. Just look at the grilling that Zuckerberg took from Congress because Congress was threatened by Facebook Libra. So I don't think this is something that's going to be viewed with open arms the way it looks. I may not completely understand it yet. And I'm going down. There was one other thing. Let's see here. Yeah, it says the credit card giant Visa was among several other companies that abandoned the Libra project last year. Sometimes I wonder if these companies just want to look relevant and be involved in the blockchain world and really have no intention of doing anything. Who knows? I did see somebody post on Twitter today that, and this is speculation because I don't know if this is true, I asked them to direct me to some evidence, which I'm going to see if they did. I'm looking on my phone while I'm talking right now. Somebody posted on Twitter that let's see here. Okay, here's what they posted. It was Mr. Connector posted, and this is just what he posted. This is not any of my belief or anything. Of course, there is a Freemason symbol on the patent diagram, and Crypto Mike discovered the stellar logo in 2 trowels. I then asked him, can you please point out where this was seen? So somebody suggesting they saw a stellar logo somewhere on this patent. I don't know anything about it, but we'll keep our eyes open, see if they're involved in any way. And that will make it a little bit more interesting if they were involved. But anyway, that's in the news. I want to share it with you. Okay, the other thing that's in the news, and this was posted by Free American Spirit at F American Spirit, and it's in relation to a coil blog that Weezy Win did about his XRP Tipbot. So essentially, it looks like he's being faced with KYC, Know Your Customer, and AML, anti-money laundering regulations, where he has Tipbot set up, and in order to not have to go through the channels of getting that properly regulated, which I think he just did with his Sum app, which is probably not very easy, Uphold has decided to step in, and I think they're going to allow Tipbot to be run through Uphold using their KYC AML. So it looks like Tipbot may still be up and running in the future, running through Uphold in some way so that it will meet regulations. So just want to bring that to your attention. I don't know if it will go down at any point. I don't know, what that looks like, but I just wanted to bring your attention to anyone that's using XRP Tipbot. Okay, and now I'm going to. All right, so let's do this. I'm going to go back to the CoinMarketCap. Okay, so here's what I want to talk about today. What I consider, the dirty secret of the top 10 cryptos. And like I said, I've never heard this discussed by anyone. But I think it's something to talk about. So, entrepreneurship is an amazing thing, right? People, they go into business, they start a company, they build a product, they build a service, and over long periods of time, people begin to buy that product or use that service, and they hit an adoption, they hit a mass adoption, and in some cases, people become incredibly wealthy after mass adoption, a lot like, let's say, Jeff Bezos did. Well, the unique thing about digital assets is if you look at these top 10, right, so you got Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP, forget Tether, Bitcoin Cash, Bitcoin SV, Litecoin, Binance Coin, EOS, Tezos, let's even go further. Stellar, Chainlink, Cardano for sure, and even Tron down here on 17. If you look at all these digital assets, what's incredibly unique about the digital asset space is, I would say, pretty much all of these creators in the top 10, maybe even in the top 15, became billionaires upon the creation of these digital assets or soon after the creation, but not after delivering the promise of the service that their asset was going to provide. These guys got paid massive upfront before delivering with mass adoption. And it's very, very unique, and I think it gets overlooked every day how weird that is. And for these people to be so wealthy and not yet, so like Bitcoin's a unique example because obviously, the creator is somebody we don't know, they're anonymous, they built it, they left it for the world to use, and the world is not using it as it was intended to use. It's not a slam on Bitcoin. I mean, Bitcoin has its place, but I don't really know what that place is just yet. But you got Vitalik built Ethereum, and Ethereum hasn't necessarily reached mass adoption, and he's massively wealthy, and even the folks at Ripple, Chris Larson, and everyone that was involved in Ripple, massively wealthy. And of all of the people in the top 10, though, I'll certainly, you're going to hear from Mr. BXRP that Ripple and XRP are by far and away, the most the one that's built by the real business people. So we're going to go back to XRP, though. We'll talk a little bit about that. But Bitcoin Cash, Roger Ver was involved in the forking of Bitcoin Cash. He was already wealthy from Bitcoin, and then he was one of the early investors in XRP, and then boom, he does it again with Bitcoin Cash. But you can't go use Bitcoin Cash at 7-Eleven. It's just not being used in a mass adoption way yet, but he's a billionaire. I met him. I actually met him in Singapore. Great guy, nice guy. Bitcoin SV, which is Craig Wright. You got Litecoin, which is what's his name? Charlie Lee. Which I kind of met Charlie Lee when I was in Vegas last year. I mean, I saw him. I was 2 feet away from him. I really didn't talk to him. Nobody really wanted to talk to Charlie Lee, just so you know, because he had sold all his Litecoin. People weren't very happy with him, and the Litecoin Summit was going on, and I got news for you that people were ignoring him. But Charlie Lee is another guy. Massive, massive wealth, billionaire. Litecoin's not being used in a mass adoption way, yet he's already achieved that kind of success. Binance Coin is unique because CZ's really built an amazing business. I remember hearing him talk in an interview. He grew up, he didn't even have running water. I mean, he's an absolute success story. But Binance Coin is kind of its own walled garden. I mean, it's for Binance, So I wouldn't say that it yet is a mass adoption sort of a thing, but he certainly earned his success with his exchange. So I don't take away anything from him. EOS, Tezos, I don't know enough about them. Stellar. So Jed McCaleb, he obviously was with Chris Larson in creating XRP. And then he went on to create Stellar, so he kind of took a second bite of the apple when he created Stellar. Once again, massively wealthy from Stellar, but it's not being used in a mass adoption way. and Cardano the same, and obviously Tron. And these, I'm using Cardano and Tron because these are people that are very out there. You know, we see Justin Sun out there all the time. But what has he delivered on? I mean, what is being done with his product? And Cardano, you know, let me tell you something about Cardano. And I've said this before, but I know many of you probably haven't heard. I met Charles Hoskinson last year when I went to the World CryptoCon convention in Las Vegas. I actually went with the digital asset investor, Brad Kimes, and Cryptopolis. And when we met Charles Hoskinson, the digital asset investor walked right up to him face to face and said, "Charles, I think you're brilliant. I watch your videos. I think you're absolutely amazing. But what is your plan for marketing?" And Charles Hoskinson looked at us and looked at the digital asset investor and said, "Well, that's the job of the Cardano Foundation." He had no interest. He is such a brilliant creator that he's not a sales guy. So he didn't really have a marketing plan. Now, if he has the greatest product in the world, I'm sure eventually it'll be used and it'll do really well. But my point of all this is that I think the digital asset space is so unique because all of these people became wealthy before they delivered on the promise of their product. Now look, you know, when it comes to Ripple, Ripple has offices in India and Singapore and Washington, D.C. and New York and San Francisco. And Chris Larson has a track record of success in his entire career. And Brad Garlinghouse has a track record of success in his entire career. This is a real company. They're using their native digital asset is XRP. That's why I'm so involved with XRP. And look, you know, a lot of people have been talking about Stellar lately. I'm not invested in Stellar. I keep thinking I might get a little bit. I haven't yet. But Stellar has a company out there called Interstellar. Interstellar, the CEO is Mike Kennedy. Mike Kennedy is the guy who developed Zelle. So they may be making some headway in what they're doing, but we're going to have to wait and see if that's actually happening. My point of this whole thing is to challenge you guys and challenge anybody who's getting involved in digital assets to ask yourself the question, are any of these, all of these, which of these assets, specifically in the top 10, are going to be successful when the creators are already filthy rich and maybe aren't motivated to drive the adoption? Because people get lazy when they're wealthy. And now some of these people are highly motivated and it's a passion. And you can see for which people it's a passion. But for other people, I mean, Charlie Lee, I think, is the greatest example. This guy got wealthy and what? I mean, I heard there's no building on the Litecoin network at all. I mean, and I've heard this about a year ago from Sam I.M. He did a video. He said there's no building on that network at all. So I just ask you to this is not a topic we hear people talk about, but I would challenge you to ask yourself, of the people in the top 10 or the top 15, the creators and the people driving the asset, are they motivated enough to see it through to mass adoption? And in talking about that, let's go through the Wayback Machine. Let's go back 5 years, almost to the day. I think this is like May 20th. So top 10 assets. Bitcoin number 1, Ripple number 2. So XRP was referred to as Ripple back then. Litecoin was number 3. Dash was number 4. Stellar 5. Dogecoin. NXT was 7. BitShares was 8. Made Safe Coin was 9. And Banks shares was 10, and then PeerCoin 11. My point is, where are these people? Where are these coins? They're gone, okay? So they were failed projects. Maybe they've dropped off in the market cap, and some of them are still there. I don't even know about them, but they're not around anymore. And what's interesting, though, is that Bitcoin, Ripple, and Litecoin still are around, and they were in the top 3. But let's do this. Maybe I went back too far. Maybe 5 years was too far. So let's go back just 3 years. So here, 3 years. Bitcoin, Ripple, Ethereum, which is the same today, right? Right now it's Bitcoin, Ethereum, Ripple. And for those of you who don't know, these sites don't show the total market cap of XRP. So they typically show, I think it's 44 billion XRP that they call in circulation. But it's really 100 billion XRP, because you have to take into consideration what's in Ripple's escrow, because it's real, it's there, and it's available. But these sites don't show it as available, so these numbers are skewed. So when you see these market cap numbers for Ripple, they should nearly be doubled in all cases. But here, 3 years back, number 4 was NEM, number 5 was Litecoin, number 6 was Dash. Ethereum Classic had just come on the scene, I believe. Stellar was 8, Monero 9, and then Bitcoin was 10. So I just wanted you to see that, you know, in 3 years from now, what's in the top 10 isn't going to be in the top 10. I mean, you may still see these 3, but a lot of the other ones are not going to be in the top 10. I mean, you don't, you know, Tezos and EOS, they might be. Who knows? Look at Litecoin. Slowly dropping down because they're not doing anything with it. Nobody's driving adoption. Nothing is being built on it, and confidence is probably being lost. And, you know, I think we've reached a point to where, I mean, there's so much money and so much interest in digital assets that it's time for one of these stations, CNBC or Fox Business, it's time for them to come out with a crypto program. I mean, whether it's a half an hour, an hour, I don't care if it's at 3 in the morning, we can all tape it. But it's time for them to come out so they can start educating. It needs to be non-biased, right? It needs to be about the facts and about the different projects and what's what. But, you know, there are 5,474 projects that are being shown on CoinMarketCap, which is a joke, an absolute joke, because even if 99% of these failed, right? So if you have 5,474 times 1%, you've got what? You've got 50. That 50 projects would still be around. Is that what it is? 1%? Yeah, so 55 projects would still be around, which I think is still a lot. I mean, I don't even, so we talk about maybe 99% of them might fail. It might be more than 99%. I mean, there's just no way that 5,400 different crypto projects are going to succeed. I mean, because there's so many of them are walled gardens. So anyway, I know it's a different video today. Just I wanted you to think outside the box. So when you look at these different projects, when you think about investing in different things, think about how long it's been around, how long it's been where it is. Has it been in the top 10 for a long time? Which you can say yes to Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP, and even Litecoin, but it's slipping. Are they building on it? Do they have a great team? Are they showing, you know, does it look like it's something that's going to happen in the future? I mean, it's very, very important to consider these things. And I just thought this was a topic that was worth discussing. So don't want to beat a dead horse. Wanted to share that with you guys, and I hope that it was beneficial. And the last thing is I wanted to say was, and this was from Fact on Twitter, positive thinking can actually help increase your lifespan, strengthen your immune system, and lower rates of depression. So I can tell you guys, positive thinking matters. So I am not a financial advisor, I'm not an accountant, I am not a technical recruiter, and I'm not a crypto expert. These are my opinions only, and don't make any financial decisions based on anything I say. This video is intended for entertainment purposes only. Been having massive amounts of people subscribe. Thank you so much, guys. If you haven't subscribed, this is your chance. Please subscribe. It's free to subscribe, so just hit that subscribe button. And if you want to be notified when I post new videos, hit the notifications little bell there. And everyone have a fantastic day.